Help me, please! I'm slipping. Seirin's scream tore through the wind. The cliff rose above the sea like a broken wall of stone, black and wet from the ocean spray. Far below, waves slammed against jagged rocks with a sound like thunder. The water did not look alive. It looked hungry. Halfway down the cliff, trapped in a rusted metal basket hanging from a damaged pulley line, was Seirin. Her fingers gripped the rim so tightly her nails bent against the metal. Her whole body shook. The basket swung with every violent gust, scraping against the cliffside, sending small stones falling into the darkness below. One rope held it, one rope already fraying. At the top of the cliff stood Ji-hoon, still, silent, watching. Seirin looked up at him, eyes wide with fear. "Please," she cried, "I can't hold on." Ji-hoon did not panic. That frightened her almost as much as the fall. Anyone else would have shouted, "Run for help." Frozen, cursed, prayed. Ji-hoon only stepped closer to the edge and looked down, measuring the rocks, the distance, the wind, the broken rope. Then he climbed down. "No!" Seirin screamed. "Don't! You'll fall too!" Ji-hoon lowered himself over the edge. The stone was sharp and slick. His fingers searched for cracks, catching where they could. The wind shoved against his back like an invisible hand trying to throw him into the sea. A loose rock broke under his shoe. It dropped, then vanished into the roar below. Seirin's breath caught. "Stop!" she shouted. "You can't reach me." Ji-hoon kept climbing. "Then don't fall first," he said. His voice was calm, too calm. Not cold, not careless, certain. The basket swung hard again. Seirin cried out as one hand slipped from the rim. Her body dropped lower, her shoulder twisting painfully as she grabbed for anything. The rope snapped halfway. The basket tilted. For one terrible second, she felt herself falling. Then Ji-hoon's hand closed around her wrist. Hard, firm, unshaking. Seirin gasped. Ji-hoon's other hand was locked into a crack in the cliff. His arm trembled from the weight, but his grip did not loosen. "Look at me," he said. She couldn't. She was staring down at the waves, at the rocks, at the place where she would disappear. Seirin. Her name cut through the wind. She looked at him. His face was scraped. Blood marked one cheek. His fingers were bleeding against the stone, but his eyes were steady. "Don't look down," he said. "Don't think about falling. Just breathe." "I can't." "You are." Seirin choked on a breath. "Again," Ji-hoon said. She breathed again. The basket groaned beneath her. The remaining rope snapped strand by strand. Ji-hoon shifted his weight, pulling her closer to the cliff. "Put your foot on the rock near your left knee." "I can't see it." "You don't need to see it. Feel it." "I'm scared." "I know." The honesty in his answer steadied her more than comfort would have. She moved her foot blindly. Her shoe scraped against stone, slipped once, then found a ledge. "Good," Ji-hoon said. "Now hold my sleeve. I'll pull you down." "No, you won't." The basket dropped another inch. Seirin sobbed, but she obeyed. Her fingers twisted into the fabric at his arm. Ji-hoon pulled, slowly, painfully. He brought her out of the basket and against the cliffside. For a moment, they hung there together. Two small bodies against a mountain of stone, with the ocean waiting below. Then the basket fell. It dropped past them. Seirin heard it hit the rocks. The sound was swallowed by the sea. She froze. Ji-hoon did not let her. "Climb," he said. "I can't." "You can. My hands, use mine." And he made himself a bridge. Every ledge he found, he guided her to first. Every safe crack, he gave her before taking one for himself. When the wind struck, he pressed her against the cliff with his own body and waited for it to pass. His arms shook. His breath turned rough. But he climbed. Seirin looked at him once and whispered, "Let me go." Ji-hoon didn't even look at her. "No. If we both fall, no." Just one word. No anger, no fear, no negotiation. They climbed higher. One hand, one breath, one impossible inch at a time. At last, Ji-hoon reached the top. He pushed Seirin upward first. Hands from no one else came to help. There was only him. Only the edge. Only the choice he had already made. With the last of his strength, he shoved her onto solid ground. Seirin rolled onto the grass, gasping, shaking, drenched in sweat and sea mist, alive. A second later, Ji-hoon pulled himself up and collapsed beside her. For a while, neither of them spoke. The sky above them was gray and endless. The sea kept roaring below as if nothing had happened. Se-rin turned her head toward him. "Why?" she whispered. Ji-hoon stared at the clouds. "Why what? Why did you save me?" His breathing slowed. Then he looked at her. "I saw you." That was all. No promise, no confession, no heroic speech. Just 3 words. "I saw you." Se-rin did not understand why those words hurt. Maybe because no one had seen her in a long time. Not really. People had used her, followed her, trapped her, chased her. But Ji-hoon had seen her. And when he saw her falling, he climbed down. That was how it began. Not with love, not with trust, with a choice. And that choice became the first crack in the world that had been built around them. Se-rin stayed. At first, she told herself it was temporary. 1 night, then 2, then a week. Ji-hoon lived in a small room above an abandoned repair shop near the edge of the old district. The place smelled faintly of rain, dust, and machine oil. The windows did not close properly. The heater made strange noises. The walls were thin enough to hear pipes knocking in the night. It was not safe. But somehow, near Ji-hoon, Se-rin slept. Not easily, not peacefully, but she slept. The first morning, she woke before sunrise and found Ji-hoon sitting by the window, wrapping his injured hands. "You should have gone to a clinic," she said. He glanced at her. "You were sleeping. That's not a reason." It was enough. She looked away first. Ji-hoon never asked where she came from. He never asked why she had been trapped in the basket. He never asked who had left her there. That silence bothered her. After 3 days, she snapped. "Aren't you curious?" Ji-hoon was fixing an old radio on the floor. He didn't look up. "Yes." "Then why don't you ask?" "Because you haven't decided if you want to answer." Se-rin stared at him. Most people pulled at wounds just to prove they could make someone bleed. Ji-hoon did not. He waited. That made him dangerous in a different way. Days passed. Se-rin learned small things about him. He liked bitter coffee, but always forgot to drink it before it went cold. He kept a knife under the table, another behind the loose brick near the door, and a third taped beneath the windowsill. He woke at every sound. He never stood with his back fully exposed. He spoke little, but when he did, his words landed exactly where they needed to. She also learned that he was kind in a way that looked nothing like softness. He gave her the bed and slept on the floor without mentioning it. He left food where she could reach it without having to ask. He pretended not to notice when her hands shook. When nightmares dragged her awake, he did not touch her. He simply turned on the small lamp beside him, letting light fill the room until she remembered where she was. One night, after waking with a cry trapped in her throat, Se-rin found him already awake. "You don't sleep much," she said. "Neither do you." That wasn't an answer. It was one. She almost smiled. Almost. The rain tapped softly against the window. After a long silence, she said, "My sister is still out there." Ji-hoon looked at her then. Se-rin swallowed hard. "She was taken before me. I tried to find her. I followed the wrong people, trusted the wrong voice. Then I woke up in that basket." Ji-hoon said nothing. That was why she kept talking. "They wanted something from me? I don't know what. Or maybe I do, and I don't want to admit it." "What did they call themselves?" Ji-hoon asked. Se-rin's mouth went dry. "The system." Ji-hoon's expression changed. Only slightly, but she saw it. "You know them," she said. Ji-hoon looked back at the window. "Yes." The room felt colder. "What are they?" "A machine that learned how to wear human faces." Se-rin waited. Ji-hoon continued, voice low. "They don't just control people with force. Force is messy. Force creates rebels. The system uses fear, memory, guilt, hunger, grief. It studies what matters to you, then turns it into a leash." Se-rin thought of her sister. Her chest tightened. "And you?" she asked. "What did they use on you?" For the first time since she had met him, Ji-hoon looked tired. "Everything." Their bond did not grow quickly. It grew carefully, like a match protected from wind. Ji-hoon trained her because she asked, not because he wanted to make her into a weapon. He taught her how to fall without breaking a wrist, how to listen for footsteps through walls, how to tell when someone was watching from reflection instead of direct sight. Fear is useful, he told her one morning as they stood in the empty repair shop below his room. Panic is not. What's the difference? Fear tells you danger is near. Panic tells you death is certain. And what if death is certain? Ji-hoon looked at her. Then panic is still wasting your last chance. She hated that answer. Then she remembered it, again and again. Weeks passed. Sirin began to laugh sometimes. Not often, but enough that Ji-hoon noticed. The first time it happened, he was trying to fix the radio again. It sparked, smoked, and died with a dramatic pop. Ji-hoon stared at it like it had personally betrayed him. Sirin laughed before she could stop herself. The sound surprised them both. Ji-hoon looked at her. What? You looked offended. It was working yesterday. Ji-hoon looked back at the radio. Then, very quietly, he said, rude. Sirin laughed harder. And for one brief moment, the world did not feel ruined. But peace was never peace. Not for people like them. Sometimes Sirin felt watched even when the streets were empty. Sometimes Ji-hoon would stop walking for no reason and guide her into an alley seconds before black cars passed. Sometimes messages appeared where no message should be. A symbol carved into a door. A number written on fogged glass. The system was near. Always near. One evening, under a flickering streetlight, Sirin stopped walking. Ji-hoon noticed immediately. What is it? She stared at the light above them. It buzzed and blinked, throwing shadows across his face. What if one day I become someone you don't recognize? Ji-hoon was quiet. Sirin tried to smile, but failed. I mean it. What if they get to me? What if they use my sister? What if they change what I remember? What if I look at you and all I see is an enemy? Ji-hoon took one step closer. He raised 2 fingers and pressed them gently against the inside of his wrist. Sirin frowned. What are you doing? This is our sign. Our sign? If you get lost, he said, I'll do this. And you'll know it's me. She looked at his fingers against his wrist. It was simple, too simple. A small gesture against a system that could forge faces, rewrite records, and bury truth under perfect lies. Still, something about it reached her. And if you're the one who gets lost? She asked. Ji-hoon's hand lowered. For a moment, his silence was heavier than the dark. Then he said, Then you bring me back. How? The same way. Sirin copied the gesture, pressing 2 fingers to her wrist. Ji-hoon looked at it. Something in his expression softened. That's it? She asked. That's it. It's not much. No, Ji-hoon said. But it's ours. Sirin held the sign a moment longer. The streetlight flickered above them. For the first time, she believed there might be something the system could not own. She was wrong. And also right. The system found them 3 days later. A file slipped under the door while they slept. Ji-hoon saw it first. By the time Sirin woke, he was standing in the center of the room, holding the papers. What is that? She asked. He didn't answer. So she got up and took them. Photographs, records, timestamps, surveillance stills, Ji-hoon meeting with system handlers, Ji-hoon handing over coordinates, Ji-hoon standing beside men who had taken her sister, Ji-hoon, cold-eyed, watching Sirin from a monitor before the cliff. Her stomach turned. No, she said. Ji-hoon reached for the papers. Sirin. She stepped back. No, they're false. The answer came too fast, too expected. Her hands tightened around the file. There were signatures, dates, medical records, audio transcripts, images that looked impossible to deny. You knew them, she said. Yes, you worked with them. Ji-hoon went still. The truth was in his silence. Sirin's voice dropped. You worked with them. A long time ago. She laughed once, but there was no humor in it. How long? Ji-hoon did not lie. Before I met you. And after? No. You expect me to believe that? No, he said quietly. I expect you to want to. That hurt worse because she did. She wanted to believe him so badly it felt like weakness. Then the screen on the broken television turned on by itself. Static filled the room. Siren froze. A woman appeared on the screen, bound to a chair, pale, terrified. Older than Siren remembered, but still hers. Her sister. Siren stopped breathing. Mina, she whispered. The camera shifted. A man stepped into frame. Clean suit, calm face, the handler. Siren, he said, you've become difficult to reach. Ji-hoon moved toward the television. The handler smiled. Don't bother. The signal is everywhere and nowhere. Siren's eyes were locked on her sister. Mina lifted her head weakly. Don't, Mina whispered. The handler touched her shoulder almost gently. Siren flinched. You don't have to hate Ji-hoon, the handler said. That would be crude. Hate is unstable. It burns too hot and fades too fast. His eyes moved to Ji-hoon. You only have to obey. Siren's lips trembled. What do you want? Simple work, clean work, bring him to us. No. The handler sighed, as if disappointed by a child. On the screen, Mina's face tightened with fear. Siren's world narrowed. Ji-hoon spoke behind her. Don't listen. She turned on him. How can you say that? Because this is how they win. My sister is there. I know. No, you don't, she shouted. You know systems and files and weapons. You don't know what she is to me. Ji-hoon looked at her with air,